G'day my friends, Marty Ware here from Marty's Garden. An exciting video for you today. Can we compost these 7 items? Yes or no? Plus an exclusive interview with famous Australian organic certified gardener, farmer, Pepe Fassos. So it's going to be an awesome show. I've been organising this for the last week or more, and man, you're going to learn some great stuff. There's also a special tip in here which will make your compost and plants grow like crazy, and it's my secret element that I've been using for many years now. Some of you may or may know what that is, but it's going to be unreal, and I'm just looking forward to pulling this list out to you. So if you're coming into the live show or you're watching the rerun, welcome. My name's Marty Ware. I'm an agri-horticulturist and just absolutely stoked to be here today. So thank you for coming to the show. Now, I just want to apologise. I've been off and on about what time this is going to air, but we are here now, and we had a few hiccups behind the scenes. So stoked to be here. We're going to have a Q&A about composting, regenerative gardening, talking about the compost and these systems, how we can grow amazing plants and become sustainable and regenerate our land and our garden. So let's get into it, and stoked to be here. And I'm going to pull up the first image now for our composting system, the full list. I've got 7 of them here. All right, eggshells. Can we compost eggshells, yes or no? Now, I've been composting eggshells off and on for pretty much ever since I got started. I've got even more now because I have my own chickens, and they are a great way to add calcium to your garden. Now, especially if you're growing tomatoes early, you really want to get these eggshells around your tomatoes, because that'll help with the fruiting, so they sometimes get blossom end rot, and also calcium is needed like in a lot of leafy greens and things like that. So when we're adding these eggshells back to our compost, it's going into our food, into us to become healthy, and it's an awesome thing to compost. So my answer for this is yes, you can compost eggshells. Now, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, and I'm going to be going through the list over time, and we'll be doing a Q&A and things like that. So let's move into number 2, coffee grounds, one of my all-time favorites. Can we compost coffee grounds, yes or no? Well, my answer to this is yes, and nearly every house and home has coffee grounds, which is just absolutely amazing. They are a great source of nitrogen, and they contain around about 7 other types of minerals. So, they just really help your coffee grounds really help your compost explode. It feeds your compost, and if you've got a lot of it, you can heat your compost up and you can kill seeds and bad bacteria and things like that. So I highly recommend adding coffee grounds to your compost. And look, if you don't have worms in it, which we're going to talk about later on, you can add as much as you like, but it does get pretty wet and soggy, so you need a lot of carbon to mix with it. Coffee grounds, one of my all-time favorites. Let's go into the next one. Tea bags. Can we compost tea bags? Well, everyone like coffee grounds has got tea bags lying around, and they are so easy to just throw in. Don't throw them into the garbage bin, guys. Throw them into your composting system. Just make sure that some of the bags are plastic, believe it or not. So we don't want to use those. We want to make sure we're just using paper ones that break down, and also the tag that we're dipping and helping dip our tea bags in, that they are break down as well. So yeah, tea bags, great one, and yeah, highly recommended. All right, number 4, seafood. Can we compost seafood? Yes or no? Now, for me personally, I would say no, even though you can do it. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit coming up in this video. Now, The reason why I don't compost seafood is because, just the vermin, rats and animals and dogs and cats and things like that love to go around and start digging it around. Can create problems, bring vermin around and smelly flies and maggots and all that type of stuff. But the best thing to do, if you want to do it, in my opinion, there are other ways, as I'll mention in a minute, is to just dig a nice big hole and bury it down in there and plant a fruit tree or some tomatoes or plants that grow really big. But do it about 3 months before and allow the microbes and the worms and bacteria to go through it. It creates a really great blood and bone to your garden. So yes and no. I would say no for me, but when I do have seafood, I bury it and I put it somewhere where I'm going to plant later. Now, I mentioned that there is another thing you can do, and one of our the subscribers that follows this show here, when I did a questionnaire, they mentioned that you can bokashi it. Now, I've never tried that, so it's a type of fermenting, I believe, and you can put it in a bokashi bucket, ferment it down, then add it to your compost later, and there's no problems with that. So if you've tried that, let me know in the chat box while we're going through this video. Now, this is the first time I've run a slideshow like this, and we've got the video coming up, which I'm doing at the end as well. So thank you for your patience. Hopefully it's all coming through fine, and then we'll slide in the people that are coming in, some of the comments and stuff, not too far away. So let's go to image number 5 now. Weeds. Can we compost weeds? Yes or no? Now, this is a great one, right? And I'm right into regenerative farming. I have been for many, many years. And I use chickens and compost worms to do that. And I actually use weeds as a way to actually grow my garden. Now, weeds are a bit of a problem. We know that, right? They can be a real problem. It depends on your area. There's so many different angles and perspectives to it. But listen to me here about what I do. I'd like to share what works for me. Now, I noticed when I was a young agriculturist, I noticed that people used to spray a lot of weeds, and then the weeds would come back twice as hard and twice as many, and then they'd have to spray them again, then there would be more, and they'd just be coming back and more and more and more, and I'd be like, that doesn't work. All you're doing is just growing more weeds and creating more work and having to spend more money on pesticides and poisoning the ground. I'm going, there's got to be a better way. Anyway, while I was studying at college, my teacher told me that weeds are actually a plant that starts off the forest floor and things like that, and we're not supposed to have bare earth. So a weed actually is a pioneer species that will get the roots into the ground so we don't lose our topsoils and we don't lose our good quality soils, and also things don't run away in the breezes. We don't get it running off in floods and heavy rains and things like that. Weeds hold it all together. And also weeds grab the sunlight, photosynthesize, and push carbon down into the ground and kick off the microbiology again. So they're the pioneer species for starting off and kicking off new forests. Weeds, we need weeds. So they're not actually a weed until they become a problem. We've created a problem by managing them incorrectly. Now, weeds are really a problem when they go to seed and they spread more around the place where there's bare earth. And where there's bare earth, you get more things like bindies, you get those farmers' friends, you get all different types of weeds. Now, some weeds actually show that we've got different element issues in the ground. Now, I think it's bracken shows that there's a lack of phosphorus. And then if we've got some weeds like clovers and things like that, I think I can't remember, it's a lack of something else, but it means the soil, I think, is too acidic. But what it's doing is pushing nitrogen down into the soil as well, preparing the soil for bigger plants to move in, such as the pioneers, before it grows. So what you can do is what I do at the moment, because my place when I moved into this new home is full of weeds. We had 3 foot full of weeds in the backyard, just absolutely mental. So what you got to do is you got to go and slash them and then mow them and keep hitting them down to the ground and don't let them go to seed. As soon as you start ripping out and creating more bare earth, the seed that's already dropped around will regerminate and produce more. Then you end up with bigger problems. And when you spray or you put on, even like if you put hot water on them or some vinegar, you're still opening up that bare earth to create more problems. So then we need to cover it over. We can do that by laying down newspaper and then putting over some mulch and things like that to cover the bare earth. Or we can actually, like I'm doing at the moment, because I don't have enough of that, is just mowing straight over the top of it or snipping it, leaving those roots in the ground to become biomass for the worms and the microbes and the fungi and everything to start building up. And then when I've got the mulch, I cover it over and then plant on top of it. So weeds can be our friends, my friends, and we can compost it if it's not full of seed. If it's full of seed, you got a big problem. Now, if it is full of seed, you need to make a hot compost, and that's why I mentioned before coffee grounds. If you've got large amounts of coffee grounds, you can, with a carbon mix, you can throw the weeds in, you can kill the seeds, and you've got a great blend. So, weeds, yes and no, if depending on the way you want to go. You can also throw weeds into a big bucket of water. You can drown the seeds so they sprout and germinate and stuff like that, and you can create liquid fertilizers with them as well. But that's going in a different direction. The question was, can we compost it? Yes or no? And my answer is yes. All right, let's move on to image number 6 here. Can we compost paper and cardboard? Yes or no? Well, my answer is yes, and I absolutely love the stuff. At the moment, I'm really lucky. I've got a really good supply of cardboard from the local shop, Woolies here. I don't use plastic bags. I grab a box every time I go to the shop, the Woolies, and we get the newspaper thrown on the lawn. I hardly ever read it. It basically goes into the worm farm or goes into the compost as a type of carbon. Now, as I mentioned before, if we're going to compost weeds and things like that, we need to have a carbon base. So you've got some wood chips, some leaves, some sticks, some newspaper, some cardboard. Throw in some coffee grounds with it, and you can throw your weeds in there, heat it up. So you need to have a square meter or 3 cubic feet to get enough heat in there to kill the weeds, and then you've got a great blend going. And that's where we're going to get to the secret ingredient as we're moving through. And as I'm doing this live show, this is pretty cool because I can't edit this, guys. I've got to have a drink of water as I go. And then we've got coming up the interview with Pepe Fassos. But before we do that, we'll go in and we'll drop in some comments, chat box, and see what you guys have got to say about the 7 items. Let's move on to number 7, the secret item, which will make your coffee, your compost, your cardboard, your everything that you add to veggie scraps, all that type of stuff to your compost explode overnight. Can we add compost worms to compost? Yes or no? Now, I'd love to hear what you guys have got to say in the comments box. And also, if you're watching the rerun here, in the comments box down below. And my answer is yes. Now, being a worm farmer, I love them. And once you've got a completed compost, it makes the best bedding ever. It's better than adding newspaper bedding, better than adding any type of sort of bedding that's sort of, like we buy from the shop, better than cocoa fiber, all that type of stuff. And the worms go mental on the stuff. By the time they ingest it, they turn it into a worm casting, which then becomes a great fertilizer, which is bioavailable for around about 6 months, full of all good bacteria and fungi and different things and nutrients, and is slow release and helps all plants from little seedlings to big trees grow like crazy. So that's the secret ingredient to my compost. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the screen here, and as I said before, I'm trying to get better with this software all the time. Yesterday we had a full breakdown of all day, no electricity, so I had to get up really early. I was going to run it last night and then not enough time, and then I thought, I'll just get up really early, see if I can pull this off and get it together. And seems to be working out not too bad so far. Everything seems to be running behind the scenes, And yeah, super excited to have this here. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this thing away here, and I'm going to scroll up and looking at some of our comments here and bring them in, say hello to a few crew, and then we're going to have our interview coming up with Pepe Fasos. I've got set the 7 questions for him, talking about all different things to add in the compost, what he does about composting. Now, he is a certified organic farmer, highly recommended, one of my favorite organic farmers around. And yeah, so stay tuned for that interview. It's going to be really cool. Let's pull across and say g'day to everyone. All right, Owain's Worm Farm. Hey there, everyone. Hey, Owain's Worm Farm. Welcome. And sorry again, I've been stuffing everyone around with these times, but we're here, and sometimes things just can't be helped, right? Blackouts and crazy stuff going on. G'day, sir. G'day, Beaver. How are you? Cool climate, tropical fruits. G'day, mate. Good to see you here. Rick's made it. Good on you, mate. Good to see you here. Gonza. Hello. From Costa Rica. Pinball Wizard. Our first comment, Rick Delane. Need to dry them eggshells and crush. You can microwave the shells first. Now, that's a great tip. I recommend that you microwave them for around about 3 minutes after you give them a bit of a clean, and then get them in the mortar and pestle or whatever, crush them up. Pepe Fasos has got something to mention about that, I think, in the video from memory. And yeah, do it. That's how I do it. But since I moved house, I left my mortar and pestle at the house. I don't have one at the moment, so I'm just doing everything by hand. But yeah, 3 minutes in the microwave works really well for me. So thanks for that, Rick. That's a great comment, and I appreciate your input there, mate. The Green Witch of the Light of Taro. So coffee grounds good for worm composting. They sure are. They sure are. Some of the best. Just watch out. They can get very hot quickly. Rick the Lane. My coffee grounds are must. Thanks to my local 7-Eleven. Mate, they're one of the best things that you can add to compost, in my opinion, and also to feed to compost worms once you get used to it. If you are feeding it to your worms, make sure you don't put in too much, too fast, too quick, because it can get hot, it can heat up and give off gases and things. But it's an amazing thing. I recommend compost it first, then feed it to your worms, and then feed a little bit on top of the compost to the worms, and they just go mental. One of my secret ingredients for Marty's Garden compost when I was selling the compost. And I don't believe I've been able to find anything as good since then. And there's so much coffee grounds getting thrown out every day. We're talking thousands of tons. It's an unlimited resource that just hasn't been tapped into yet. Well, not to its full potential anyway. All right, here in the UK, PGT have made fully biodegradable tea bags. That's just brilliant. You've got to love that. Thumbs up for PGT. Rick the Lane. Yeah, bags okay. Fresh seafood not cooked. That's what Mark does too. Yeah, he's got a video about burying seafood. What happens? Something along those lines, I believe. All right, more from Rick. Only non-seeded weeds. I pull the removed seeds. We have lots of nitrogen, but the weed tea bag method in water, oxygenated if possible is best, but you need to throw away. Yeah, great comment and really good tip there, Rick. Weeds do have a lot of nitrogen, and that weed tea bag method works pretty good. What I do is, if I do it like that, I then compost it down further in a hot composting system, just to make sure I kill any weeds or whatever. If I'm not sure if there's any seeds around, I just bin it. But yeah, good way to go. Continue to throw away the tea bags when finished. I think you just got to be careful with them. Like I said, some of them have still got plastic in them, so just be aware when you're doing that. Compost most paper and cardboard, even from my doctor's surgery shredded paper. Veggie scraps are great to add to compost. Remain too much citrus and onion. Yeah, citrus and onion, give it the flick. Not good stuff. It will compost down. It just takes a bit longer for the bacteria to get to it. So if you're using a lot of it, a little bit is okay, but just don't overdo it. And, the citrus peel, really good fire lighters. So in, like for starting open fires outside and things like that, dry it out, and the citrus acetic acid burns like no tomorrow. So there's a good tip for you. Wayne's Worm Farm. Just a thought, is there anything organic you'd never consider adding to your compost bin? Yeah, I think like I mentioned before, some of the citrus stuff just takes too long to break down. But you can add it. It just takes much longer than anything else. So that's the main reason. And it can sort of, if you do it using too much of it, and you're just composting that, it can be highly acid as well. So yeah, I don't think there's really much else other than animal, like some like dog manures, pig manure, things like that have got bad bacteria. You class them as organic. Some people have their own composting systems for animal manures, and then they use it in other areas just on non-edibles and things like that. Like you can get a dog poo worm farm, and they work really great once the worms get used to eating it, and then you can just throw it on different trees and things. Or, if you're putting it around the bottom of citrus and stuff, well, it doesn't matter because it's not touching the ground and stuff. So just, food for thought for sure. Great question there, Owain's Worm Farm. Thank you for that. Robert Evans, g'day mate from Philadelphia, PA, USA. G'day, thank you for coming. Hey, listen, if anyone wants to drop a super chat in there, help support the channel, or a super sticker, highly appreciated. Down below, we've also got in the links, we've got access to starting a worm farmer beginner's guide. You can get it in video on YouTube in small pieces in the members area, the level 3, and also as an ebook on my Buy Me a Coffee page, which is very, very cheap for the value that you get. Available in the links down below. So if you want to support Marty's Garden, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can even buy me a coffee there if you so like to. Thank you so much. And let's keep going on with the show, my friends. Jean Gurney from Sequin, Washington. Hello there. Lovely to see you here. Thank you for coming. What time is it there over in Washington at the moment? Pinball Wizard. If you use the crushed shell and white vinegar, you have a calcium feed. Just water it down. Hey, that's an awesome tip to adding to crushed shell as an organic matter to put into our compost, or even into our garden straight in around when we're planting plants and things like that. Just remember, the more we crush up these eggshells, the quicker they're going to break down, because other elements will break down much faster than that. So yeah, thank you for adding that to this video here, Pinball Wizard. Now, if you come in late on the show, you can go back and watch the rerun. We've gone over 7 items that you can add to your compost, yes or no, and I'd like to hear your answers for them, some of them, yes or no, and see what you think. And yeah, I'd love to have your input. And remember, we've got coming up soon, we've got our interview with Pepe Fassos, Australian Certified Organic Farmer. Hopefully the video all runs out well. Everything seems to be going pretty good so far here. Let me know if I'm coming in nice and loud and clear. You can see me quite well. My little square isn't too small. I might make it a little bit bigger and see how these things drop, how these questions drop in and out as we go in through. Still getting used to my Ecamm Live software here, but enjoying the process. It's been a little bit stressful, actually. The chickens this morning were going mental outside my front door, my side window, because I just moved them up the side of the house, and they're complaining because they can't get out into the other area to scratch around. They're the most spoilt chickens I've ever had, and they got a big feed and everything. Oh, so it's been a wild morning this morning, guys. Cool climate, tropical fruits. Shredded paper is good, but I avoid staple cut shred waste. Just going to read that out again. From cool climate, tropical fruits. Shredded paper is good, but I avoid staple cut shredder waste. Is that because it's got staples in it? Maybe a bit more clear on that. I don't have much to do with shredded paper, so I'm interested to know more, and I'm sure if I am, other people in the show would be also. So thank you for that. That's awesome.
Rick Thalane. Dung beetles for dog and cat poop. Well, I guess, yeah, they come around. They would for sure. Yeah, awesome. It's 2:27 p.m. Wow, that's getting late. Well, thank you so much for coming and watching the show. I'd be just fully asleep by then. I had to get up 3 o'clock yesterday morning because we did the collaboration with Mark from Self Sufficient Me. I was supposed to get up at 12 midday. For some reason my alarm didn't wake me up, so I was up 3 o'clock in the morning, dropping links and answering questions and things like that. So yeah, I know what it's like. 2:27 p.m. Oh no, I was thinking a.m. 2:27 p.m. That's totally fine. Didn't see that since small writing in my software there. Roberta Evans. Petich. Paper shredders are great, but I only use brown paper bags and cardboard. No bleach paper or shiny printed cardboard. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for sharing that. Maybe for our viewers, we can go in a little bit deeper on why you don't use bleach paper or shiny printed cardboard. I know the answer, but I'd like to hear that from you. Robert, if you don't mind, that would be great. Wayne's Worm Farm. I put roadkill rabbit in my wormery last year, and all that's left now is a skull and a few bones. Wow. So you're saying that the actual tiger worm, compost worm, went through that roadkill. That's pretty amazing. Never tried that myself. I get worried about flies and different things and that coming around. But I guess if you've got a bit of distance from your house and things like that, you don't have that problem. The compost that it would make would be absolutely extraordinary. So yeah, very, very interesting. Let's keep going here. Mrs. Wobbles, welcome. Can we compost used tissues and paper towel? I do from time to time. Mostly the inside of the tissue, like toilet tissue, the paper, the roll, because that doesn't have any type of bleaching and things like that. I don't worry too much if the odd piece gets in. But for example, if we had a lot of sort of bleached material, I'd be a little bit careful with all things with different dyes and prints in it. It will compost down. It's just more putting it into worm farms and things, maybe not as good. But as far as if you've got a lot of carbon or other carbons, you've got like coffee grounds and things going in and veggies and stuff for nitrogen, a little bit is okay. I get a little bit in mine every now and again and it just disappears. So if I was to answer yes, can we compost used tissues and paper towel, I would put it more in the yes box for now. Just if it's huge amounts, like you run a cafe or something like that, then my answer would probably be no. Hopefully that answers your question, Mrs. Wobbles, and I haven't been too long-winded on that. Pinball Wizard, Mrs. Wobbles. Yes, you can, depending on what's being cleaned up. Example, no cleaning products or fouled human waste. Excellent answer from Mrs. Wobbles. Thanks so much. I think that adds a lot of value to what I said. And that's one of the reasons why I love coming on here and chatting with you guys and getting your answers on these questions of yes and no. And keep firing away with questions about, what can we compost, can we not compost? And, we want to look at ways we can build up our soil profiles, add compost to our vegetable gardens, build our worm farms with compost bedding, and take things to the next level, regenerate the land around us, use all that excelled waste that's just going into the bin and out to landfills and turning it into something valuable. So for me, I know these aren't the type of videos that get like 1 million views, but it's just so valuable to reach communities and reach new people and just start making this change collectively in a small way, but spreading out. So thank you so much for sharing, everyone.
so far. It's been a really enjoyable process. Let me know if I'm coming in loud and clear. You can see me through the little circle, no problem, and it looks good. And I'm stoked to be learning more about how to use this software. If you're coming in late, we've gone through 7 questions. We're covering questions about composting, yes or no, different items that we can. And we've got our interview coming up very shortly, next actually, with Pepe Fassos, the Australian Organic Certified Farmer from Lismore. Let's go with the next one here, next comment. Some shredders take the staples left in paper through so shards of small metal left in through it. Okay, so I wonder if they would rust down a little bit, like, and slowly disappear. It's a very interesting topic, and you've really got me thinking along those lines for sure. I've seen you on YouTube 100 plus pigs in a commercial windrow. That's pretty amazing. So they're just going through and just chewing it up, right? That's wow, because they can really go through some material, right? That's super interesting. What I'd be doing is grabbing that pig manure then and composting it down further into another carbon and putting worms through it. And that would make one of the best fertilizers ever, man. Put it underneath, and then I'd be selling. I'd do it near a macadamia farm or an avocado farm or something like that, and I'd be selling that byproduct back to those organic farmers. I think that would just be absolutely brilliant. So cool. Thanks, Rick, for sharing that. I just love it. Just let me have a little drink of water here. Oh. Hey, listen, if you're enjoying the show, please give me a big thumbs up. It's so unreal to see you all here. Saturday morning is it's a very popular time for my audience to be online here. We got 15 thumbs up. And generally what we do is we try to keep the thumbs up above the people watching. 22 people watching and only 15 thumbs up. So we need to get up above 22 thumbs up. So please fire away now, guys. Give us some thumbs up. And we'll move into the next comment and we'll very, very shortly, we'll do 2 more comments, then we'll move straight to the Pepe Fassos interview. Okay. Hang on. Bleached paper is not organic natural. I don't want chemicals or chemically treated products in my compost. I think that's a good way to go. Yeah, for sure. If that's where you want to be, completely natural, then go for it. So no poo, but yes, not. I don't know. Let's go. Mrs. Wobbles, I wouldn't, as medicine can be passed into soil. All right, let's go in. We're going to put on the Pepe Fassos interview now, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun and a great interview. So let's roll it out, and here it is, the recording with Pepe Fassos, my good friend, organic certified organic farmer. All right, enjoy. G'day everyone, got an exciting part of this show today. We got my good friend Pepe Fassos from 560 Farms, certified organic farmer, grows amazing food, and man, he lives the life of organic. Don't panic, we're going to get him in right now. G'day Pepe, how you going, mate?
Hey, it's good to see you.
Are you firing up, brother? Are you fired?
I'm fired up. Hit me hard.
Awesome, man, because I got 5 questions for you, yes or no. Now, I know you're gonna struggle with them, right? So just be patient, give me the yes or no. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through each question at the end and have a bit of a conversation about why we should use them or why we shouldn't use them, right? And so be ready for a bit of shock horror. Are you ready?
I'm ready, bro.
Okay. Can you add eggshells to compost, yes or no?
Yes.
Can you add seafood to compost? Yes or no?
No.
Can you add dog feces to compost? Yes or no?
You're kidding, man. No.
Can you add coffee grounds to compost? Yes or no?
Absolutely yes.
Is the main body of compost carbon? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, mate. I think you got 5 out of 5 right, maybe, but there are some discrepancies, and people will 100% say, maybe not agree with us, but that's okay. We don't have to agree on everything because there are solutions to problems. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at eggshell first right now. Everyone's got, lots of people eat eggs, and we can actually use them in the compost. They're quite great stuff in the compost. Now, I've already spoken on my channel quite often about this, so I'd like to get your opinion on eggshells and why you said yes.
Well, I said yes because it adds an element of calcium. It helps balance the pH in a sense, but if I was to add it to my compost, I'd crush them up a bit because obviously they're going to break down slower than the carbon factors and things like that. So I'm adding in an organic element of calcium, in my opinion.
Right. So if people have got their own eggs, what do you recommend that they do to get them down to a powdered form? You got any tips for that?
Oh, just a food processor or a whiz bang, or just crush them up in a mortar and pestle.
Yep.
Or with your hands. I mean, it depends on your needs. I need it to be particularly fine, bioavailable as fast as possible. So, yeah.
Give them a wash, dry them out in the sun, maybe put them in a microwave, something like that, yeah? And then smash them up.
There we go.
Awesome. Okay, number 2. Now, you said no to seafood in the compost. I'd like to know why you said no, mate.
Well, primarily the compost on this farm starts to be used for microgreens. Now, I can't add any animal products due to potential contamination of E. coli or just bad bacteria. So I choose not to use any animal products in my compost at the start. It can be done, but it stinks and it's going to take longer, but not on my farm. That's my reason.
Cool. All right, so you said yes to coffee grounds. Now, coffee grounds are one of my favourites, but again, I'm not going to get into it from me. I want to hear what you think about coffee grounds.
Well, I learned a lot from you, Marty. I was watching your channel a while ago. Coffee grounds to me are an organic matter. I mean, it's a vegetable organic matter or a plant. So it's adding in nitrogen to work and get things heated up and breaking down faster. And yeah, coffee grounds is good for me. And if you want to learn more, I won't go on. Check out Marty's older videos.
Yeah, I've got quite a few on that. So do you guys drink coffee at home, all the family?
Big time. Yeah, we enjoy Lebanese coffee, actually. It gives you you just put it in a little pot, boil it up, but you get a lot of grounds at the bottom, so it goes in there.
Okay, so big family, lots of coffee going through your place, so you get to throw that into the compost quite often. All right, so the next one I had, number 5, is the main body of compost carbon. And you got that correct. Obviously, you weren't going to get that wrong. If you did, I would have to say, Mr. Fassos, I'm sorry, we're going to have to leave right now. And I will see you sometime in the near future for re-education programs.
I know. Send me away.
But a lot of people don't know actually what, I'm having a good stir here, but a lot of people don't actually know what carbon is. I remember the day I didn't know what it was. I knew what newspaper and cardboard and all that stuff was, but I didn't really know what carbon was. I was just a young guy gardening, hadn't attended any courses or anything like that. We didn't have the internet in those days, so you learn everything at college or from mentors and things. So if you can explain what carbon is in your opinion, and maybe a ratio of something would be really good.
Oh, ratio.
Carbon. So what's carbon first? That would be the first question.
Well, my opinion of carbon is we are carbon beings. The whole Earth is carbon-based thing, and that's so basically the carbon is the beginning product, and then say we pass away and we're buried, and we're turning into more bioavailable nutrients, which will create nitrogen, phosphorus, calcium. I mean, carbon to me is the beginning element, so the rest forms from that.
Okay, so let's mention maybe 3-4 types of carbon that maybe like wood chips, say, is one. What would be another 3?
I use wood chips, preferably a softwood to break down faster. Some cardboard or paper product, leaf matter, and mulch, grass mulch. I mean,
yep.
I'm sort of
Yeah. So we spoke offline, we spoke, and you said you got 7 meters or a big truckload of wood chip or the stuff from the trees the arborists are doing. You've just got that sitting on your farm now at the moment. So that would be a part of your carbon base for making your composts and different things that you're going to need for farming. Is that right?
That's correct. I'm using it. So I've got two 10-meter piles. So basically, it's workable in that. To make it easier for me, I have a tractor with a front end loader. So occasionally, I'll go in and I'll mix it up a little. I'll just stir it up because in the middle, it's cooking, it's breaking down. So I want to be able to access that, which I then carry out to my gardens and put it down my walkways, and that's creating pathways for microbiology to work in, and then eventually it'll break down. I can just rake it into my gardens and then replace and start the process again.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So remember, you got to keep some of that aside for the worm farming stuff that we're going to be doing in the future. All the wet stuff, like the moldy stuff, that's what we want to keep. But we'll talk about that maybe in future videos when I come out or at some stage. So I'm just going to move into another question now. Mm-hmm. And what advice would you give a complete beginner gardener if they wanted to start composting?
Okay, first of all, you're going to need a space. You're going to need you're going to need material. I mean, you're going to have to think about everything you're throwing away or you're using. I mean, that garbage bin is a treasure trove of compostable items in a sense. So you may, stop. Think about every dinner you finish, what you're going to do with that. Think about your paper waste. All that is food for compost. I mean, it'll create black gold, as we commonly know it as. So my advice is to, obviously do some research, what you can and can't do. We talked about this earlier. And begin. But please, it's a patient thing. It's nature. It's not going to happen overnight. And you've got to work on it, not daily, but consistently. And that's kind of my open
I think
advice.
That's a good answer, because basically the inputs that are coming in to our house are going out into the bin. That's basically what you're saying. And we need to look at that and start learning how to compost that. Now, I think a really good way is to understanding like your carbon base. And so the newspapers and cardboards and things, or your wood chip and leaves and stuff like that, that can be your sort of your base. Like that bin that you were saying, that you can actually cut a hole in the bottom of those, right? Start, like a cheap bin that way and start throwing in your carbon. So do you have a certain ratio of, say, 3-to-1? So, what would be your ratio for something like that?
Well, I kind of layer it as best I can. Like Marty was saying about a container, for you, maybe you can, it's called an IBC. It's an old 1,000 litre drum that farms use to move around a lot of chemical or whatnot. But obviously, and then you can cut them in half, make two, so you can have two composts going. One that's almost ready and you've got the next one coming. It's just a cycle. And the ratios, I tend to layer, so I'll put in my carbon first, the wood chips, and I'll keep it moist, and I'll add in some grass clippings and then some vegetable scraps, and then I'll sort of repeat, and then I'll mix it up. Yeah.
So you're going off intuition more of like doing like a lasagna bed, is that what you're saying? So you've got a layer of carbon, you're putting some other material on top, then another layer of carbon, and some more. Yeah. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah, it works for me because, we've got 8 kids, we've got a lot of scraps, and, there's certain things going out at certain times, and we only mow the lawn once a week, so the grass clippings go in at a certain time, but the veggie scrap's always there. So that's how I've kind of worked it in the past. As for now, the piles, I'm doing bigger compost piles, so, it's not, if that makes sense. It's
not so beneficial for the guy that's just starting off small. So if someone's starting off small, just 3-to-1, say, like 3 parts newspaper, cardboard,
Yep.
and then maybe 1 part sort of organic matter, like your veggie
Hmm.
scraps and a bit of manure and things like that. That's a pretty good way to go. What do you reckon?
Absolutely. That's a good way to start.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. So I just want to ask you one more, because we went through like that 5 ones of yes and no sort of thing. And, we talked about, I want to go back to seafood. Now, you said that you don't put it in because you're an organic farmer. It's, you're not allowed to put those type of things in. So we talk about coffee grounds. We can actually put that in. That's a good way for nitrogen, extra minerals, things like that. We talk about carbons as the base. And is there anything else that you would not put in compost? Is there one more thing that you think we should sort of try to avoid putting into our compost systems?
It's a good question.
Maybe a general mistake that someone would make quite easily.
Jeez, you got me.
I got you? You might need some time to think on that one. Do you reckon? You're just going, I'm just grabbing everything. I'll give you an example. My neighbour, she tries to give me chicken stuff over the fence, and she gives me like this container sort of thing, and then I throw it out, and there's all different crap in there. The chickens don't even want 2/3 of it. They go, I don't want a freaking old bit of crusty whatever. That's all gooey and yuck. Oh, the bread's stale and rock hard. I can't eat that. Sort of thing. So,
Go on.
have you had any experiences like that where you just, like that you'd like to share?
Well, my kids love oranges, right? So I wouldn't put in citrus. I tend to dry my citrus out. No, this is a good little tip. Just dry them out in the sun, and then I use them for firelighters. They work really well.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're really cool. The citric acid catches on, and it gets our fire warming for winter. So, no, my kids just don't think like me, and they're just piling it all in. And one day they'll forget. With 8 kids, you've got to delegate jobs. So one day Thor's got to take the compost out, but he didn't do it the day before. So he'll take it to the chickens. It stinks, it's gross, but yeah, I'll separate it. Yeah, dude, it's not.
So, look at this. Started rubbing your eyes there. He's got, look, I'll just let you know, guys, he's got 8 kids, right? So, like, big family. How do you keep an eye on everyone? Go, mate, I told you twice, don't put that in the compost. That orange peels, firelighters. Orange peels. And then, yeah.
It's in our chicken pen. There's just oranges, and they eat a lot. It's just not cool. So.
Yeah, so I think that answers the question really, really quite well. And we had a lot of fun doing this quick questions and answers. And I really appreciate you coming on the show. This is my good friend Pepe Fassos from 560 Farms. Now, he does have a YouTube channel. He's not on there all the time. Occasionally he does some updates. But he has some really cool old content that you can go through and check out if you want to learn about micro farming and growing microgreens. And they can also find you where, Pepe?
Instagram. Go over to Instagram. I'm not a Facebook person. I tried, but I just failed. So Instagram's my little hangout. And yeah, I'm available there every day, really. And I
That's
post.
your go-to.
Yeah, it's my go-to.
Excellent. Well, listen, mate, we're going to have you on the show again in the near future. So thank you so much. We're going to be talking about becoming an organic farmer and the possibility of maybe moving towards even, like getting certification, which you've just done. So congratulations on that. That is a huge feat in itself. People don't know how big of a challenge that is in Australia and certain places around the globe. So, yeah, we'll be bringing that up again. And if you want to say goodbye to the crew, we will see you at the next video.
That was great fun, Marty. Thanks for inviting me on. Cheers.
An honour, mate. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
There you go.
All right. So we just had our interview. That was pre-recorded. So Pepe Fassos isn't here in the live chat today. We recorded that through the week with some other little videos that we done. And he's a great guy. And his farm, 560 Farms out at Lismore, is just sensational. I plan on going out there and doing some filming out there. As you know, on this channel, I like to cover a bit about urban farming. We're looking at setting up big worm farming system there for him in some big vats and things to actually create his organic fertilizer for free using inputs from the local area and from his farm to keep everything locked and regenerating at his space. Now he sells at the local markets and to restaurants and different places, and he's been expanding out. He got flooded in the last big event, and he was one of those families that had to get onto the roof of his home and helped out with 2 different boats, 8 in the family, and he still has a lot of trauma over that. So I know you're probably watching this down the line, Pepe, so we love you, mate, and we all send our love and regards to you and to the family, and thank you so much for taking the time for that interview. It was really, really appreciated. All right, so here we go. If you've got any questions, you could probably leave them in the comments box, or sort of like the rerun, and Pepe might get on here later and answer them. I'm not sure 100% on that. Pretty busy guy. All right, so Gene Gurney. I'm experimenting with coffee grounds. I'm currently soaking some in a bucket for 14 days so far. When is it safe to use? Okay, so great question. Thank you so much. And this really adds on quite well to about composting the coffee grounds. Now, you can actually, if it's quite diluted, put that onto your plants almost straight away, actually. It is slightly acidic, so be a bit careful for that. But what I recommend is coffee grounds already hold quite a bit of moisture. So you don't really have to soak them. What I do is just throw them straight onto some type of carbon source. When I was making my compost with just a bit of cardboard and lots of wood chip mulch from the local arborists that were making, doing the trees and things around locally. Now, some places you've got to be careful with certain trees and things like that. We have to be here as well. North Coast, here where I am, where I wasn't before. The mid-North Coast, not so much of a problem with camphor and stuff, but you can just add it straight to some type of carbon and you'll get the best result, and it will heat up fast because it's full of nitrogen. So I wouldn't worry about soaking it too much unless you want to get a liquid nutrient from it and put it onto your plants, which would be really good for acid-loving plants as well because it is slightly acidic. So great question. Thank you very much, Journey, and hopefully that helped you out. Hang on, we'll just go through here. What about chitin? I think there's someone actually answered something down below. I was reading it while I was watching the rerun for the video. Let's have a look here. Pinball Wizard's got a great answer too. Pinball Wizard has a great answer here about seafood and composting seafood. And I really love this. Lobster and crab shell washed, nuked in microwave and treated like eggshells, but fish guts better buried to feed worms, but need to be buried. That's a really great point, man. Awesome stuff. As again, I said, I love this community, the things that you come up with. I learn stuff as we do this as well, and I'm going to do that, because occasionally, I haven't been crabbing for ages, but get the guts out, the crab shell, microwave it, and then crush it all up into like a powder form and use it, and then I'll bury the fish guts underneath around near the fruit trees with the fruit trees, and then expand out, things like that. So thank you so much, Pinball Wizard. Awesome answer to an awesome question. Thank you very much. Is kombucha drink for compost? Now, I have never done kombucha, to be honest, but I know it's a type of fermentation, and I'm pretty sure it would be okay to add to compost, but there might be someone else in the community that can answer that. Let's cover this else from Pinball Wizard. Also, fish byproducts. Hang on, start again. Also, fish byproducts are better blizzed in seafood, in a food presser. I'm going to start again. I'm getting tongue-tied, sorry. Also, fish byproducts are blizzed in food processors with a little water. It composts faster. Another great tip to add to composting seafood and things like that, which I said no to but obviously you can if it's treated correctly. And why waste that waste? You know what I mean? Putting it in the bin. If you can use it, I highly recommend. That's why I just bury it. It's simple for me, but I think that's a good way to go. G'day LP, lovely to see you here. Ratio for compost is usually 30-1, but I think it's mean 3-1, but most of us do the layer thing. Okay, yeah, so I think it's all about 3-1, so 3 parts carbon, 1 part nitrogen. So your nitrogen would be either your coffee grounds and your food scraps, things like that, and 3 parts of carbon. It's pretty much how I do it. And then I heat it up, then I put the compost worms through it and turn it into something really, really amazing. So thank you so much for sharing that, Rick, because a lot of people do wonder about what the ratio is. I've got something here also it says about aquaponics. Aquaponic waste is another method, but I'm not into that method. Yeah, so aquaponic waste, because it's only been around for the last it's been around for a long, long time, but really only popular in the last 5 to 10 years. And, you know, it comes from aqua farming where there's even more heavy waste and it was really environmentally unfriendly. Aquaponics is very, very friendly. So you can actually use that waste. And if I had aquaponics set up on my micro farm, I'd be using that water as the end byproduct to then go through my worm farms. And then I would be collecting that out of the worm farm vat. And then I would be using that as a liquid fertilizer onto my plants. So I believe that would make an awesome system. Who knows? Maybe one day here at Marty's Garden, we will have an aquaponic system running into worm farms at the end and then coming out through that. And wouldn't that be cool? If we could raise the money for it, I would definitely be doing that today. If anyone wanted to, I don't know, you're seeing this and you'd love to see it, there's a possibility you can go to the Buy Me a Coffee and buy me, I don't know, 500 coffees. Maybe that would be enough. I know it's a joke, but someone has done that before and helped me out, and it's just been absolutely amazing. So thank you very much. And you can also buy the ebook, Starting a Worm Farm, a Beginner's Guide, available in the description, and also the video format, which you can get here in my members area on YouTube, available down in the description also. All right, so yeah, some great ways if you want to learn worm farming fast. That is the way to do it. Rick Thalane. I thought fish waste would have been classified organic unless farm sourced due to foods given. It depends, mate. Yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't know. I really don't know that answer because we're talking about we're going certified or whatever. But generally, some things that are inorganic, when it's passed through a fungal environment, becomes organic. So there's so many variations of this, and there's not a lot of good information out there on it. And some things got to be looked under microscopes and all this stuff. So there's a lot to it. Hey, just got here. Can boiled shrimps be added into my indoor worm farm? Now, I think if we go back a little bit further, we mentioned, actually, I'm going to read this out again because I might actually take a snippet recording out of this for future videos. Let's Grow Texas. Hey, just got here. Can boiled shrimps be added into my indoor worm farm? So as mentioned before by Pinball Wizard, you could actually get the shells and then microwave it. And I think it's called chitin, I believe. And then you could dry it, and then you could actually put it into the worm bin that way. You could do it beforehand, but it's going to actually maybe create more different pest problems and things like that. So I would recommend going the Pinball Wizard way and putting it in the microwave and then adding it to the worm bin. I think that would work quite good and would add a form of chitin, I believe, to be taken in as another mineral to be uptaken by plants. Some people saying goodbye here, and aquaponic rocks for the leafy grades. Good guy, mate. Thanks for that. And just moving through, and I can't get every comment because some people are just chatting between each other here. So yeah, I am reading them though as we're moving through. Where do you source your materials for composting, Marty? So I just moved And I had access to a very good landscaping yard where eventually I was then producing my own compost there and worm cast there to sell to the public. And every landscaping yard is a little bit different. And so I source my materials from them most of the time. But recently I got an arborist to dump a whole lot, in my front yard. Then I moved it around via wheelbarrow and different things and into piles, and also put it into the raised beds and stuff like that. But if you can get it from an arborist and you know the material's good and not too much crap in it, that's the way to go. If not, you really need to be careful about how you source it from a landscaping yard. And I might do some content on that coming up in the future. I'm still looking about that, whether it's people are going to actually watch it or not. But yeah, that's where I get mine from. Okay. Some more comments here. Don't know about this one. Sugary drinks are good for compost, I've heard, from Rick the Lane. What do you think, guys? I don't know about that. You're talking about pouring the sugar into the compost. I know that molasses and things like that has there's molasses, organic molasses, where you've removed the iron. That's pretty good for fermenting and doing those type of things, and also for creating worm teas. Okay, let's get another comment in here. If you guys are chatting here together, and this one, Siki Chan. Hi Marty. I go to the beach often and collect some dried seaweed and kelp. Can I rinse off the salt and add it to the worm farm? My answer is yes. Yes, you can. Be aware though that some beaches and some areas it is illegal to take and harvest seaweed from the beach. Not everywhere, because some places just have tons of it. But yes, so you need to be aware of that. But I highly recommend it if you can. I would soak it first in a big garbage bin, hose it down, soak it for a little bit, and then dry it as best you can. It doesn't have to be fully dried, or you've got small amounts of it, you could add it to the worm farm. And I believe it would make a great source of extra minerals, because what happens in the ocean is all our minerals are being washed off the land into the ocean, and it's collected up by the seaweed, absorbed into the seaweed and stored. That's why seaweed is so good to eat also, and why it is so good to use as a fertilizer on your garden, and even to turn into a worm casting. So that is an absolutely brilliant question. Thank you so much, Siki Chan, for that. And I would say yes, 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 go for it. Okay, just looking through the questions here. Melanie Allen. Now, I went through that right at the beginning of the video. If you go back, you'll see the section, I think it's where at number 6 or something like that, where I talk about weeds. So I cover that quite in depth, and it's a great way to understand what weeds are, because a lot of people don't know what they are and how to deal with them organically. So check that out at the beginning of the video. It's only a few minutes in, around about number 6 in my list, something like that, Melanie. All right, so let's keep moving through here. See you, Rick. I think you're about to go through the tunnels. We'll see you again soon, mate. Have a great day, and we'll catch up with you in the near future. Owain's Worm Farm. I cut my hair quite short and have a similar cut to you, Marty. But would you consider composting your own hair? Yes, definitely you can compost your own hair. And yep, just got a trim a little while ago, and actually enjoying having short hair for the spring. I thought it was going to be a bit hotter. Had a bit of a cold head. But anyway, let's go back to the question again, because I'm getting off track here. Owain's Worm Farm. I cut my hair quite short and have a similar haircut to you, Marty. But would you consider composting your own hair? And my answer is yes, it makes a great compost, but it does take a long time to break down. Now, you know that people actually get locks of hair, they put it in boxes and store it. It lasts for ages. So it has to be a really high active environment with a lot of microbes and bacteria and things to break it down. If you're getting lots of it from, say, a hairdresser or things like that, could take quite some time. But my answer is yes, and it makes a great material to add to your compost. Just don't overdo it. Maybe you're just a little bit of your hair, like you said, perfectly fine. As Rick said, hair and shaving, electric trimmer, yes, compostable. Toe and fingernails too. Yeah, throw it in with the hair. Why not? Great idea. Compost it all. I'm all about keeping everything on site as much as possible that's organic, that can be broken down and turn into plant food nutrition and to improve our soils. Because if you know, I follow the mantra, feed the soil, not the plants, and you get amazing, amazing growth. And then if you can, if you're worm farming, feed it to the worms and get something even better yet. Again, I'm teaching so much stuff here on this channel about worm farming and using everything that's coming in, these inputs. And I'm still a big advocate. I know that the world's still a bit behind yet, but we're getting there. And a lot of people are really moving into removing their waste now and understanding that it's a great resource and they can save a lot of money. Also, let me know that I'm coming in fine here. You can see me well. It looks good in the circle with a little black background, because if I do it too wide, you can see all my my bedroom and everything, and it looks really good with the text down below. And I think it will help when I'm producing little videos. If I find something that's really gold out of here, I'll snip it into a short video and put it up on the channel later on, which people seem to be enjoying, those little quick 1 to 2 minute videos where I answer a question. All right, so quick drink of water. If you've got any more questions, please fire away. Anything to do with composting, worm farming, something you think you would like to compost along those lines, or organic gardening, farming, and I can cover that for you before I head off. Currently, we have 21 people watching, 28 thumbs up, which is absolutely awesome. We've got over the 21 number. So thank you so much. If you see the thumb, please, if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up. It lets the YouTube channel know, YouTube algorithm know, that this is a great show. People are enjoying it. Lots of engagement. And one of the things that YouTube's looking now is you actually enjoy what you're doing and enjoying, and you're getting lots of value and entertainment and just enjoying it. I think it's called value something, or I don't know, I can't remember the part of the algorithm, but if you're loving it, YouTube somehow knows these days. So we really do appreciate that. Right, got my jam jar. It's actually a honey jar, not jam, that I drink out of. Because I broke my Coca-Cola glass. And I figure, why not just use that? That'll do for now. It's glass and I can drink out of it. And it's been about 3 weeks. I haven't got to replace my favourite glass because I've been drinking out of a honey jar. If anyone else drinks out of jars, let me know in the comments box down below, in the comments box, or in the chat box here, and love to hear what you got to say. Let's keep moving here. Getting some valuable info here today, I reckon too. I'm learning as well, just absolutely loving it, and this is a great place to connect. And I'm stoked that I've actually pushed myself forward and starting to learn how to use this Ecamm Live software. It is good stuff. And I'm dyslexic, so some things can be a bit tricky for me, but I'm learning and I'm getting there. So if you're enjoying how much the improvement's been in the last, few months or even the years, let me know in the chat box, in the comments box down below. I'd love to hear from you all. Aussie Grow Show, morning all. G'day, mate. Lovely to see you here. Thanks for coming in. We got a question here from Melanie Allen. All right, quick drink of water again. Hard work, all this talking here, but loving it and digging, connecting with you guys. Melanie Allen. How would you use oat hay in compost? Now, how would you use oat hay in compost? Great question. Use it as you would a carbon source. You add some nitrogen to it. So as we were talking about before, the ratio is 3:1. So oat hay would be your 3, your carbon blend, and then 1 part your nitrogen. So such as it could be coffee grounds as a class of nitrogen, and also your veggie scraps and manures and things as class of nitrogen. So 3:1. And great stuff. And if you've got worms and you can feed it to your compost worms and make compost worm bedding before it's about 1/3 or 2/3 broken down, put it into your worm farm. They would just love that stuff. And I'm telling you, makes your plants grow like no tomorrow. You have the best garden ever and pest-free, chemical-free stuff when you start doing it like that. So great question, Melanie Allen. That's how I would use my oat hay in compost. Let's grow Texas. I just scored a homemade 2-tier worm bin. Congratulations. With a lid last week for free. Double congratulations. I ended up adding all of the worms and their castings into my large tote with my own worms because I don't like the 2-tier. Really? That's interesting. Well, what I would do is I would actually get the 2-tier, take some of the worms out from there, and just start working with the 2-tier system slowly. I think it's just maybe that you're not used to it, but each to their own. If you find that it's not for you, whatever's working for you is the way to go for sure. Thanks for sharing with that. Let's grow Texas. But I would give it a little bit of a trial. You might grow to love it in time. And it's a good way to get the drenched worm tea out of there, the worm drench as well at the same time. Okay, fair few seeds in it. If we're talking about that oats material, you may need to heat it up with more nitrogen so it gets hot and starts breaking down and kills the seeds that way. Kieran, how do I start the worm farm? Can I just attract worms and go from there, or do I have to buy stuff? Okay, great question. I'm going to start again. Now, I know, sorry, I don't mean to do this too often, reading the question twice, but I need to process it and take it in. And it can get quite daunting sometimes doing these live shows. So, Kieran, how do I start the worm farm? Can I just attract worms and go from there, or do I have to buy stuff? Generally, Kieran, you do have to buy stuff, and you need a type of composting worm. Now, some places they are wild already, but generally no. And we go for Sina fetida, which is a tiger, or the red worms. They're the most popular. And there's a few other worms. Sometimes when you buy composting worms, you get a mix of blues and different reds and different worms for different seasons. So it doesn't really matter as long as they're a composting worm. You can also buy just the cocoons and do it cheaper that way, but you need some type of bedding, you need a housing for them, and you need to start off that way. And I've got everything here. You can watch my channel and go through it and learn lots about worm farming, or check out the ebook or the course in the description. And it's really, really cheap to get started, and you'll never look back on making your own free fertilizer at home and save yourself a ton of money at the same time. So hopefully that helps, but you definitely can't attract worms. Not some places you can, like I said, but it's pretty rare. I found if the bins have lids, the worms congregate up the sides and on the lid. All the worms are behaving now in the bin. Yeah, they behave all different types of temperatures, different types of foods, whatever you're putting in there, they will behave different. Different species will behave different. And so it's all a bit odd for you. It just takes a little bit of time getting used to. You know, it is farming, and there is some skill sets that you learn over time how to take care of them. Mine actually just crawl out and go into the bales and then down into the garden and then move out through the systems and all that. I don't enclose them in so much anymore. But at the beginning, when you've only got small amounts, or you've got a small space and you're making liquid drenches and things, you do need to enclose them in. Just got a comment here from Pinball Wizard.
Marty, your last metal grow bed, why don't you use it as a compost bin and let the chooks into scratch and fed from over the year like Mark done? Work a treat for myself. That is such a good idea. I've been looking at that going, what should I do with that bin? It's going to take that last grow bed, and I was thinking maybe I should do that. Start throwing in some compost and some mulch and things like that. Throw the chickens in there. It's just a little bit hot at this time of year, and it's got full sun, and they just be beaming in there. So early mornings, late afternoons, we probably could do that. I think it's a great idea, and I'm definitely going to look into that a bit more. So thank you so much, Pinball. Now, if people don't know what I'm talking about here, we just built 3 large garden beds. Mark from Self-Sufficient Me channel come here. We worked on a collaboration together. We filled up 2 beds. There was 1 left over, and I still need to fill it up and build it out. So that's what Pinball Wizard is saying there. Okay, just answering some questions here. Oat hay counts as carbon source. Yes, that's for sure. And Aussie Grows Show. Aussie Grows Show. What type of worms do we need to avoid in the farm? Just earthworms, basically. They're actually horizontal feeders, vertical feeders. They move up and down through the soil profile. Compost worms move along the vertical feeders. Some of the night crawlers will do both horizontal and vertical, but they are still a composting worm. And the night crawlers need a bigger system. They're okay in a tiered worm farm, but they do better in a larger, so a windrow or a large system like the biggest worm farm ever, which I have here on my videos if you want to watch that and take your worm farming to another level and grow plants and things like that. So yeah, the type of worms we need to avoid in our worm farm would be, don't put earthworms in them, guys. I was told earthworms eat the castings of the compost worms. No, I don't. I think that's just another myth Aussie Grows Show. Cool, lol, that answers my second question too. With a happy face and a smiley laugh at the end. Gotta love that. Gonna have a quick sip of my, I was gonna say jam jar again from my honey jar. Doesn't taste like honey though, it's been well washed out. Some good quality water in there, and avoiding the soft drinks this morning so far. So that's been good. And we've been into this show now 1 hour, 17 minutes and 15 seconds. Now, when we ran the rerun for the video, that gave me about a 12-minute break to save my voice. And so that was absolutely brilliant. And I could run the live show a little bit longer. Now, if you've come in late and you're wondering what we've been talking about, where we've been talking about all the different things you can compost. And we did also a live interview with organic farmer Pepe Fassos from Australia, who is certified and great organic gardener. And that one is here as well in the live show, but you can go back and watch the rerun, go through the questions, and some really great stuff about weeds in here if you're interested about what to do with your weeds organically, composting, and what weeds actually are. So it's been, and also right through this whole show, it's been some amazing questions, some great answers, and it's just been awesome so far. And we've been able to run over an hour, which is absolutely brilliant. And I want to go back and I'll watch the rerun later, make sure everything ran smoothly, and then we can keep improving these live shows each time. And hopefully we can work it out where it just runs Saturday morning each time. Saturday morning wasn't my choice for me, but for the audience, this is when you're most here and most people are engaged, and the best time for video performance. So it's been absolutely wonderful to be able to actually add on a little bit longer into this production time. And thank you so much if you've been watching right through, either the rerun. If you've been watching the rerun right through, let me know in the comments box down below, and also coming through and watching this video. It's just absolutely awesome. 35 thumbs up. If you haven't given us a thumbs up, please do already. I think we got 50 or 70 or something last time. Man, heaps. Be great to beat that record.
and it lets YouTube know that you're getting satisfaction from this video, and now they're claiming a satisfaction factor. And these live shows, actually, when they rerun and stuff like that, they do really well. So stoked. Thank you so much for all being here and sharing and talking to yourselves amongst each other. It's just absolutely brilliant. Okay, let's go here. Another one. Let's grow Texas. Does the inside of the banana need to be removed before giving a banana to the worms? I have a few brown bananas. Nah, just feed the whole lot. They love it, man. They love the skin. They love the fruit, the whole lot. But if you've got a lot and they can't eat it all, don't give them all that, because by the time they get to it, they just won't. So you can give them a little bit, put a little bit in the freezer, freeze that, and pull it out next day and put it in and stuff like that. Especially in the summer, frozen bananas will keep the worm farm cool. So yeah, feed them the bananas. They absolutely go mental on it. And the baby wisps, the baby bananas. What I said, baby bananas. The baby worms are called wisps. They love eating on the side of the skins. They love banana, and it really helps them grow fast. So top tip there. Let's grow Texas for you. Great question. Thank you so much. This has been such an awesome live show today. Pinball Wizard. I use composting worms and those Trebonias. I think that's how it's spelt, from Fishing Shop. Just toss them in. Not sure. Trebonias. Don't know about that. Good morning, Garden King, Scotty boy. How you going there, buddy? Worms love black bananas. They sure do. Once they start rotting a little bit, man, they're into them. My chickens, there's a fight between the chickens with the bananas and the worms, that's for sure. Let's go, Texas. You are awesome, Marty. I always try to be here for your lives. I'm always late, though. It's all right. You're here now. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you so much for the kind words. We are into an hour and 20 minutes now. It's one of our records for the length of our show. Just been unreal. 19 people watching, 38 thumbs up. So cool. If you don't mind, if anyone's there wants to drop us a super chat, you can do so at the comments box down below, or you can get the worm farming ebook, Starting a Worm Farmer Beginner's Guide, which is also available in the comments box down below. And inside my YouTube channel, there's the course Starting a Worm Farmer Beginner's Guide, and then Starting Organic Seedlings a Beginner's Guide. There's about 2 or 3 courses in here, and a whole lot of little videos teaching you about worm farming and then turning them into castings and growing amazing plants with them. Value plus, all available in the comments box down below, or description down below. All right, let's keep rolling. Don't forget the thumbs up. Great show. Thank you so much, Rick. We're still going though, mate. So I can toss the banana in whole. I guess I will do that now. You sure can. Just don't put too much in it first, as I said. All right, cheers to you all. We are still here. Some great questions coming through. I'm going to wait a little bit longer and see if we've got any more questions coming through. Have a quick drink during this awesome live show today. Just absolutely been loving connecting with you guys and getting everything going. As we get to the sort of the end of the show, we all say goodbye to each other. I drag in comments and things like that, and we play our theme song and roll things out. So quick little drink here. And we got a super chat. Let's roll that across. Oh, come on. It's not sure. There it goes. Super sticker. Let's go, Texas. A thumbs up hand gesture with the words tops. Awesome. We're going to get the crowd in here. Now, we've got our crowd. It's the artificial crowd. They love you and they say thank you very much. We'll just give them one more roll. Good idea, guys. Thank you so much. Well, let's go, Texas, for the super sticker. Much appreciated. All these little bits, they really help add up here with Marty's Garden. We get a little bit from the AdSense commission, sell the odd little ebook here and there. We sell a few plants and different things here and there from this space. Got my little part-time job. And it's just, you guys really help. And just by watching the videos and sharing them, commenting and taking part, it all plays a big role in that too. So thank you very much, everyone. My hat that I don't have on goes off to you. Not B1 and B2 in bananas. Yeah, don't feed them B1 and B2. They won't be happy if you put them into the worm farm, if you know who they are. I won't ask any more questions till I watch your entire video of this like full noob on here. No, ask questions. If I've already answered it in the video, then I'll let you know. Just that one about weeds is really quite long and it's awesome. So I just go back and check that out. But please, feel free, ask a question. I'd like to get this momentum going, and I never want people to feel intimidated or threatened about asking any question at all. We're all at different stages and levels of our life in gardening and organic gardening. So yeah, good. And you have a veggie garden now, but now with the cost of letting it, I need to do better. Cheers, Marty from Bundaberg. Well, keep on growing the food. Save your seed. Learn how to do cuttings. Learn how to make your own fertilizers and things like that. You'll save so much money. Start off with herbs, some cherry tomatoes, and some easy to grow vegetables such as like zucchinis. They're a really easy one. Button squash, things like that, and some different leafy greens. And just start using with it and start testing. But start off with definitely herbs and cherry tomatoes. Great way to go first. You save a lot of money that way because your herbs are getting expensive. Sorry I missed the start. Would love to worm farm, but way too hot here and no shade. Yeah, the heat can be a real problem, that's for sure. But you can look into using African night crawlers. They are a tropical compost worm, and look, if they can handle the Philippines, it's really hot because I've been there and seen them. And then you can start off with the African nightcrawler, and they are a great composting worm, and they probably have them somewhere nearby you if you are in a hot environment. Melanie Allen, I never knew that general earthworms ate diagonally. Thanks. So I've got a little one of my videos in here, it's YouTube Shorts, and it shows the worm going up and down sort of thing. And so the worm goes up and moves up. So I'll give you an explanation on how they work. So all different types of earthworms, all different sizes. I was going to say shapes, but all different sizes. And basically what they do is they eat the organic matter and carbon and, manures and things like that. And so they come up to have burrows. So they come up through the burrow and they come up and they'll grab a bit of the food from the top and they'll bring it, or they'll eat it up there or bring it down. And as they've eaten it or bringing it down, they digest it, they move it through their worm body, it hits their gizzard, right? And then actually processes in there with some rock dust and different things and grits and that. The bacteria picks up and it comes out the end and drops out as little poo. As a worm casting, which is then full of that bacteria that's picked up that's in the stomach, such as the microbes and things, and will drop it down inside the soil profile. That casting, which then becomes nature's little nutrient, so a little fertilizer ball, which lasts for about 6 months, and it'll contract and expand with the weather and release the nutrients slowly, and it'll also protect roots around the plants from dangerous nematodes and things like that. So as that worm's going up and down, it's creating these burrows, allowing the water to come through, opening up the soils, and dropping nutrient into the ground. And also on the skin, there is biology. It lives on the skin. If it passes the root of the plant, it'll touch it off there, it'll leave a little bit of microbe or the bacteria on the side of the root. They are an amazing creature and should be well respected, and there's just not enough information on them. So that's one reason why I cover a lot of worm farming, because not only does it save money, it's a great way for the environment, and it's one of the best ways to grow plants, in my opinion. Okay, so hopefully we covered that quite a bit for you. I'll see if where we're up to here. Just scroll through. Yes, just watch Marty's vids. He'll get you up. Pinball Wizards watches a lot of my stuff, I think. Sonny, the worm bin is my diet. Let's go there. People are commenting. Here we go. Mrs. Wobbles. Why are the garden lizards very attracted to my worm farm? Are they eating bugs or are they annoying the worms? Now, they would maybe eat some little baby worms. It would mean that your worm farm is too dry if they're getting in there, the same as cockroaches and things like that. Now, I wouldn't bother if there's the odd one in there every now and again. That's okay. It's actually a good thing to have a lot of biodiversity in a worm farm sometimes. We just don't want to have an explosion of one thing where there's too much, such as a mite or some type of insect that's getting in there. You know, like I said, cockroaches. It'd be too dry. So in my course, I cover a bit of that about how to keep the worm farm at the right moisture. But generally, if it's too dry, you'll get these other little creatures moving in. Now, it could just be the top layer is just too dry, it's wet down through, and they might move through the leaf litter. But then there could be a little ant or something in there too because it's too dry, and then the lizard's eating that. So there's many different reasons. I wouldn't be too bothered if there's the odd one. I get the odd one in mine. I open the lid up, go, hey, go on, mate. And he runs off, you know. So, yeah, all good. They aren't doing too much, and if there's only the odd one in there, they're probably doing more good than harm. I live in a fifth wheel travel trailer. Absolutely no room inside. Oh, I gotcha. Okay, let's keep going here. Rick, hot weather in Sydney, Australia on the water. Majestic Princesses docked at Sydney Harbour. Wonder all the compostable material on board. Those big ships and things like that. That's just getting into a whole new level stuff, right? I wonder what they're going to do when they pass all these new policies coming up in the next 5 to 10 years about companies have to deal with their own waste. I'm really not sure, but I know there's going to be all these new businesses expanding up in it. They've asked, councils have come to me and approached me about that type of thing, but I don't know if I want to get into that whole corporate thing. It's a whole new world, but a lot of waste coming out there for sure, Rick. Kieran, so is there a difference between earthworms and the worms you farm? If so, why? Yes, one is a composting worm, and it will go across. I'm going to read this out again because I might take a snippet out of this for a video. Kieran, so is there a difference between earthworms and the worms you farm? If so, why? Well, I'd like to answer it like this, Kieran. An earthworm is a vertical worm. Now, I can't remember the difference between the species and the Latin names, but there is a difference. And a composting worm generally is a horizontal worm. And composting worms have been around for a very, very long time. They are a natural worm. We didn't breed them into existence or anything like that, but they've been around man and humanity ever since the time of beginning and lived alongside of us. And we've then figured out, oh, these are a composting worm, and then taken advantage to use them. So they've always been around, and they sit vertically and move through compost and eat off the bacteria of things that are decomposing. And an earthworm will have a burrow and will come up and down and will feed vertically. Occasionally they'll go across, but basically they are a vertical feeding worm, and they're the soil burrowers. So hopefully that helps, Kieran, with the answer to the question. Okay, let's go here. Pinball Wizard's heading off. Good on you, mate. Thanks so much for coming. Have an awesome evening, and I appreciate all your input on the show, man. It's been really great. Owain's Worm Farm. Wonderful. Thanks, Owain, for sharing this with us. There's over 5,000 species of worms and have all different functions in the soil. Yeah, look, there's so much that we can learn. We are consistently still learning about them, and there is so much to learn. But maybe you can have a chat with Owain's Worm Farm at one stage and learn more about it. I live in 9B, Texas zone, so very similar climate to you, and yes, it's too outside to the summer. But yeah, I think the African composting worm, the nightcrawler is the way to go in those hot areas. And they do have them, like I said, right through Southeast Asia. That's where they're farming them. They've got businesses doing it, and organic farms use them there, and they are an amazing worm. They go really big, and I've got them here in my place, and they perform really well in my big hot composting windrows and my big worm farms ever. So it's just been, it's been an awesome show so far. We've got 15 people watching, 39 thumbs up. It's been absolutely brilliant, and just stoked to have you all here. We've been running for an hour and a half now. My throat is starting to dry out. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually start dragging comments across from people as you're saying goodbye to one another. And I will then put on some music. We got the theme song. It's a great song. Hang around for that if you haven't heard it already. And many who have heard it really love this song and stay for it as well. It's to do with nature and all that lovely stuff. And it's one of my favourite songs by Michael Shines. And he is a Christian composer, I believe, and composer. And I will start dragging across your comments. So please say goodbye to me. Say goodbye to the crew in there. And here we go, my favourite theme song for the show. And I will give you a quick bye-bye on the way out.
To the river we go. Leave our worries on the shore and drift away. On the river we know. Sometimes the perfect words are never said. I spilled my coffee, I don't feel like talking. My worries just keep growing by the day. I need a moment where the green and blue appear. Just spin a rock and watch the ricochet. To the river we go. Leave our worries on the shore and drift away. On the river we know. Sometimes the perfect words are left unsaid. You could change your mind when you're intertwined with the water and the waves. As I grow older, well, that boat I'll never sail. It works better than the pills the doctor gave. And with that old fishing pole, I still catch 'em by the bucketful. The kids are helping on the grill and sneak a taste. To the river we go. Leave our worries on the shore and drift away. On the river we know. Sometimes the perfect words are never said. You could change your mind when you're intertwined with the water and the waves.
Wow. Such an awesome song, that song. I just love it so much. It just helps me connect here at the end of the day and just go, take a quick breather and get out there. And I might even do some more gardening today. And it's not raining at the moment, which has been absolutely brilliant. We've had some pretty heavy rain here, and we're expected to get more going into La Nina for a few more months. So you may see me doing quite a live shows and putting some little snippets of videos together and things like that, because I can't always get out and film depending on the weather. But I think people are really enjoying me cutting out the little sections, the questions, and then answering them via a quick 1 to 1.5 minute video. Love to hear what you think about that in the comments box down below. If you've gotten that far, if you're enjoying those little videos with the little black and things like that, I think I can make them even a little bit better and a bit more enticing for the eye. And we will be back Saturday morning, 9 a.m. again for the next live show. And I've got nothing planned for next Saturday, so it should be really good. I mean, I have nothing planned. I mean, I've got nothing planned outside of bringing this live. So I'll let you know, they've got a little post feed on what it's going to be about. I haven't worked on the exact subject just yet, but I've got some ideas up my sleeve, and I'm sure it will be a great one. So have a great day, everyone. Happy everything. And we'll see you at the next video real soon. I think I've got a few coming out through the week, so keep an eye out for that, and a really cool one coming out on Thursday, a whole extension of all the vlogs put together into a 5-video series. Have a great day. As I said, happy everything, and we'll see you at the next one real soon. Bye, guys. Ciao.